You sure? I could hang around. Actually, I was meeting an alleged terrorist who'd surrendered himself to the U.S. Embassy in Paris, but I didn't think that was information I needed to share with Facide. I said, "You a Yankee fan?" "Not anymore." Whereupon he launched into a tirade against Steinbrenner, Yankee Stadium, the price of tickets, the salaries of the players, and so forth. These terrorists are clever, sounding just like loyal citizens. Anyway, I tuned the guy out and thought about how I'd wound up here. As I indicated, I was a homicide detective, one of New York's finest, if I do say so. A year ago this month, I was playing dodge the bullets with two Hispanic gentlemen up on West 102nd Street in what was probably a case of mistaken identity, or sport shooting, since there seemed to be no reason for the attempted whack. Life is funny sometimes. Anyway, the perps were still at large, though I had my eye out for them, as you might imagine. After my near-death experience and upon release from the hospital, I accepted my Uncle Harry's offer to stay at his summer house on Long Island to convalesce. The house is located about 100 road miles from West 102nd Street, which was fine. Anyway, while I was out there, I got involved with this double murder of a husband and wife, fell in love twice, almost got killed. Also, one of the women I fell in love with, Beth Penrose by name, is still sort of in my life. While all this was going on out on eastern Long Island, my divorce became final. And as if I wasn't already having a bad R&R at the beach, I wound up making the professional acquaintance of a schmuck on the double homicide case named Ted Nash of the Central Intelligence Agency, who I took a big dislike to, and who hated my guts in return, and who, lo and behold, was now part of my ATTF team. It's a small world, but not that small, and I don't believe in coincidence. There was also another guy involved with that case, George Foster, an FBI agent, who was okay, but not my cup of tea either. In any case, it turns out that this double homicide was not a federal case, and Nash and Foster disappeared, only to reappear in my life about 4 weeks ago when I got assigned to this ATTF Mideastern team. But no sweat. I've put in for a transfer to the ATTF's Irish Republican Army section, which I will probably get. I don't have any real feelings about the IRA either way, but at least the IRA babes are easy to look at. The guys are more fun than your average Arab terrorist, and the Irish pubs are primo. I could do some real good in the anti-IRA section. Really. Anyway, after all this mess out on Long Island, I get offered this great choice of being hauled in front of the NYPD disciplinary board for moonlighting or whatever, or taking a 3/4 medical disability and going away. So I took the medical, but also negotiated a job at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in Manhattan, where I live. Before I got shot, I'd taught a class at John Jay as an adjunct professor, so I wasn't asking for much, and I got it. Starting in January, I was teaching 2 night classes at JJ and 1 day class. I was getting bored out of my mind, so my ex-partner, Dom Finelli, knows about this special contract agent program with the feds, where they hire former law enforcement types to work with ATTF. I apply, I'm accepted, probably for all the wrong reasons, and here I am. The pay's good, the perks are okay, and the federal types are mostly schmucks. I have this problem with feds, like most cops do, and not even sensitivity training would help. But the work seems interesting. The ATTF is a unique and, I may say, elite group, despite the schmucks, that only exists in New York City and environs. It's made up mostly of NYPD detectives who are great guys, FBI, and some quasi-civilian guys like me hired to round out the team, so to speak. Also on some teams, when needed, are CIA prima donnas, and also some DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency people who know their business and know about connections between the drug trade and the terrorist world. Other team players include people from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms of Waco, Texas fame, plus cops from surrounding suburban counties and New York State Police. There are other federal types from agencies I can't mention, and last but not least, we have a few Port Authority detectives assigned to some teams. These PA guys are helpful at airports, bus terminals, train stations, docks, some bridges and tunnels under their control, and other places, like the World Trade Center, where their little empire extends. We have it all pretty much covered, but even if we didn't, it sounds really impressive. The ATTF was one of the main investigating groups in the World Trade Center bombing and the TWA 800 explosion off Long Island. But sometimes